Hello, everyone, and welcome to NFC North Predictions. This is the Pocket Passer. I'm your host, Randy White, and I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. We're going to get right into those predictions, and we're going to start off with the division winner for the NFC North. I've got the Green Bay Packers. Yes, I'm a Packers fan, I know. So if you want to accuse me for bias, I guess go right ahead and do it. But I feel really good about this Packers team. Tons of talented young receivers on that receiving core. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, if he can stay healthy, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and more, as well as Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft at tight end. So a lot to like on the Packers skill position groups. Then they bring in Josh Jacobs at running back. Jordan Love was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL the back half of the regular season last year. Yes, he struggled the first half, but for everyone that wants to hold that against him, keep in mind that was his first real NFL experience starting, so I think it's not necessarily unfair, but unrealistic to evaluate his potential based off of his performance when he was still adjusting to the league, adjusting to being in that starting quarterback role. It's pretty clear, in my opinion, that when Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love kind of got used to each other and how they want to play and how they want to scheme up the offense, when they kind of put everything together in the back half of the year, that offense was phenomenal, and Jordan Love played fantastic football, threw 10 picks in the first half of the season and then only threw one in the second half, along with I think 20 touchdowns in the second half to like 15, maybe not quite 15, 12 or so in the first half. So massive jump in production and efficiency in the second half of the season. I think we see that carry over into this year with yet another league with the same guys putting in work, getting familiar with how the timing of route concepts and when guys are going to break open and all the small details that are so important to be successful at the highest level in the NFL. They're going to be so much more tuned into it this year than last year. So I expect them to win the NFC North first place. Number 2 in the division, the winners from last year, the Detroit Lions, still fantastic. I love the culture that Dan Campbell has built on that team. No reason in my mind that they would really fall off. I just think Green Bay takes a leap forward. I think Detroit's still one of those teams that could potentially be in the NFC Championship, potentially go to a Super Bowl. They're terrific. A lot to love about the Detroit Lions. And if you pick them to win the division, fair enough. I don't think it's that crazy. I have them very close. I got Green Bay at 12-6. I've got Detroit at 12-5. I've got Detroit at 11-6. So those two teams very, very close. It's going to come down to probably a head-to-head matchup at some point that kind of is the tipping point for one of these teams to win the division. So Detroit, a phenomenal team. Jared Goff has, I don't know, he's become overrated, I think, by Detroit fans, but I think people that tend to hate on Jared Goff are ignoring just how exceptional he's been. I mean, he played well enough to lead his team to the Super Bowl last year. Some unfortunate drops and mishaps and a fumble by the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, I believe, in that NFC Championship that led to them crumbling in the second half and blowing their massive lead. But a lot to feel good about if you're Detroit, besides the fact that they did blow a big lead on San Francisco that would have sent them to the Super Bowl. Other than that, a lot to feel good about Jared Goff. He's been fantastic. He was good 2 years ago. He was great last year. I think he'll be really, really good again this year. So a lot to be excited about if you're a Detroit fan. Jamison Williams, I think, is expected to emerge in this offense this year. And if he's able to take that next step forward, that would be absolutely terrifying for every team in the NFC North and every competitive team in the NFC vying to hopefully beat them in the playoffs. That's going to be something they're going to have to game plan for, because Jamison Williams, we all know he's exceptionally fast. If he can take all the details to the next level and kind of build that continuity with Jared Goff, they're going to be scary. Love the two-headed running back group that they've got going on with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot to love there. Sam Laporta getting healthy. He's going to be great. He was fantastic as a rookie last year. No expectation for him to really fall off. Amon-Ra St. Brown just signed a massive contract, their number 1 receiver. He's absolutely terrific. I'm honestly ashamed of myself for bringing him up like 5th in the position groups, in the skill position groups, because he's just terrific. He's still there. And then you got on the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson's terrific. He's going to continue to improve. And I think their defense is going to be better this year than it was last year. They're going to take some leaps forward, just building the culture, getting some guys out of the group, getting some guys out of the room that maybe weren't great, that didn't really exemplify what it means to be a Detroit Lion right now, which is really a fantastic thing. I mean, when you look at what it means to be a Detroit Lion the last decade, 2 decades, 5 decades, 7 decades, not great things, but the last 2.5 years, it's meant something really special to be a Detroit Lion, maybe year and a half. The way that Dan Campbell has shifted the culture, he's completely shifted the culture in Detroit, is really an exceptional feat, an exceptional accomplishment. I know people were upset with his level of aggressiveness, but I think that ties into what it means to be a Detroit Lion right now, which is that we're going to come at you, bite off some kneecaps, throw you around the football field, hit people, and attack people at a high level of aggression and dominate physically, dominate schematically. They're smart, physical. They're so much fun to watch. And it's really a testament to that coaching staff and Dan Campbell being the head of that coaching staff, what they've been able to do the last couple of years. I expect that to continue this year. Now, a big question mark ahead, coach, on this next team. I've got the Bears, third in the division. I think they're going to fight for a playoff spot. This is going to be one of those teams that they get eliminated possibly in week 18. Late in the season, they're going to be pushing, trying to make it, and they're just going to come short. That's the way I see it. I don't think it's possible for Caleb Williams to fail unless their offensive coordinator is a complete moron or if he just can't read defenses. But based on the film I saw of him in college, go ahead and click on that video next if you want to see my film breakdown on Caleb Williams. I actually did 2 of them, but the second one is much better, so I would recommend you watch that one. But I don't see a way that Caleb Williams fails with the kind of talent they have around him. I'm not as big of a fan of DeAndre Swift as a lot of people are. I like him, but he's not like, oh my God, DeAndre Swift. He's the guy. Like, I think his ball carrier vision is somewhat questionable between the tackles, and I think that he's not an incredibly physical runner that's going to break through tackles, but he is very shifty. He's a good pass catching back, so he's going to be a good option for Caleb there. I think the offensive line is underrated. Justin Fields held the ball way too long. And people hated on the offensive line because he would get hit a lot. And were there times where the offensive line was bad? Yeah, but I think a lot of what I saw where Justin Fields would get hit quickly had to do with really a bad protection plan as opposed to poor protection play by the offensive line. Don't get me wrong, it's not a great offensive line. It's average at best, I'd say mediocre, but it's not like it's the worst offensive line in the league. Justin Fields held onto the ball too long. He's a slow processor, and it made the offensive line look bad. Caleb Williams is a much quicker processor. His pocket movement is better. He's not a better athlete than Justin, but I don't think Justin Fields' pocket presence is as good as Caleb Williams. I think they get an upgrade there. I think his arm is every bit as good. I think his accuracy is improved or better. So I think they get an upgrade at quarterback. I think they clearly upgraded the receiving core. They bring in Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen, a veteran, to teach these guys the ropes. DJ Moore is terrific, and now all of a sudden, he's probably still the wide receiver 1, I'd imagine. But the connection that Caleb and Rome Odunze have, DJ Moore being terrific, Keenan Allen being older and slower, but he's still going to be a good, probably possession receiver who can get open in the slot. And he's going to be able to find holes in zones. He's a smart, experienced player. So if he can stay healthy, that's going to be a great piece for Caleb to have. And then Cole Kmet, a very good tight end. So a lot to be excited about. Really, it comes down to, is this offensive coordinator a guy that you can trust to take this offense to the next level? If he is, a lot of reason to be excited. If not, could have some concern there. So we'll just have to wait and see. And the question mark with Eberflus is, can he get these guys ready to play week in and week out? I think he can. Eberflus has kind of won me over a little bit when I saw the way their team transformed back half of the year defensively. He had that defense ready to go in the second half of the season. They're one of the best defenses in football the last half of the year, so if they can keep that momentum going. They got some dogs out there. Montez Sweat is a really good pass rusher, led the Bears and the Commanders in sacks last season. I think he's the only player in NFL history to do that, and if he isn't, he's the first to do it in a very long time. So he's a dog. They got a lot of other dogs out there. Yeah, I'm a casual for having to look that up. Jalen Johnson is a dog as well, great corner. There's a lot to be excited about if you're a Bears fan for the future. I think they fall short, but this is a team that they're building for the future right now, and they've built a terrific young core with some good veteran leadership. So if I'm a Bears fan, I'm ecstatic and thinking, hey, maybe, I mean, the NFC North is pretty loaded, so there's a lot going on the ups, and someone's going to have to be crushed by the rest of the growth that's going on here. So we'll see if that's Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, or Chicago, but one of those 4 teams at least is going to kind of spiral due to the competition. I think that's the way it typically kind of goes. But all 4 of these teams have promise, and there's a good reason to be excited about all 4 of them building for the future. So Bears I have going 9-8 and just narrowly missing the playoffs. I think if you're a Bears fan, you should be absolutely ecstatic about the future. Obviously, this season's going to prove a lot for Caleb Williams. We'll see how he's able to execute. I think he's going to be just fine. Hopefully their offensive coordinator is the real deal. If he is, look out for the Bears to potentially even make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a good team this year. Before I get into talking about the Minnesota Vikings, obviously you know I'm going to have them last place in the division, but I'd like to thank you for making it to this point in the video, and if you've enjoyed it so far, leave a like and consider subscribing and turning that bell notification on so you'll be notified when more videos drop. If you're not sold on me yet, that's okay. Go click on my channel and watch a couple other videos, see what you think, and if you enjoy those videos, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Now, back to the video. All right, so the Vikings, obviously I have them finishing last in the division. There's a lot to be excited about if you're a Vikings fan moving forward to the future, but they have been absolutely crushed this offseason, not only by injuries, but by the unfortunate and devastating passing of rookie Kyrie Jackson. My condolences go out to his family, friends, and teammates. That was a absolutely crushing event to see that happen. So very unfortunate there. And Minnesota, just beyond even that, has not been able to catch a break. Obviously, football is the least important thing in that particular matter. Absolutely. So not trying to distract from that to talk about football. But for the sake of record predictions, there's just been so much misfortune happening in Minnesota this offseason. I think it's going to be very difficult to overcome all of that noise and misfortune. I think there might be a lot of fire on this team to maybe go out and, play for him on a week in and week out basis. But beyond just losing Kyrie Jackson, they've also lost a number of players to injury. J.J. McCarthy, who was expected to maybe start back half of the season potentially, he's out for the year. You got issues with Jordan Addison, who got hurt in preseason, or got hurt. You got issues with Jordan Addison, who got hurt in camp, and we'll see how that injury affects him moving forward throughout the season. TJ Hawkinson is still working back from an injury he suffered at the end of last season. So although there's a lot to be optimistic about moving forward for this Vikings team, right now I think there's a lot that's happened that's going to be really tough for them to overcome. They might have a rough start to the season. So I'm going to have them going 6-11, but an optimistic outlook on the future. Unfortunately for J.J. McCarthy, he's not going to be able to have kind of that hands-on coaching where he's out there practicing, getting reps, and getting worked on with the phenomenal head coach Kevin O'Connell, who I think is just an absolutely terrific offensive mind. So it's unfortunate that he's not going to be able to have that kind of direct kind of coaching that he'd be able to have if he was healthy out there practicing, getting feedback on his practice performance. But he's still going to be able to sit back and learn from a veteran, Sam Darnold, who I know hasn't been great, but still going to kind of see that process from someone who's been in the league for a number of years now, and getting to see how Kevin O'Connell leads his team and getting to see how Kevin O'Connell has these guys prepared. It's still going to be a benefit for J.J. McCarthy that he is in such a great situation in terms of staff and personnel. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, terrific. TJ Hawkinson, when he's healthy, terrific. Jordan Addison, when he's healthy, a lot to look forward to. So this Vikings team, and then they draft a pass rusher to fill the void of Danielle Hunter. So a lot to be excited about if you're a Vikings fan moving forward. I don't think, just not right now, unfortunately. So that's where I'm at with the Vikings. I got them going last in the division at 6-11. And that wraps up my NFC North prediction. So I thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and click on this video on my face. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Peace.